security background. And he works with eStaff, LLC, you might want to write that down. He's very client-centric with exceptional ability to understand technical, environmental, and political issues, which is nice to know. And he's comfortable with IT administrative, clerical, engineering, and professional requirements. I would like to introduce Dan Frey for his Get More interview, winning in a competitive market. Welcome, Dan.
Let's see. If it'll work with this. Boot up. Sorry, what?
What's the name of your board?
My board? eStaff LLC.
eStaff?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Got eStaff, LLC.
Yes, I work there. I worked there for my wife. She was there. How's that? Okay.
How are you doing on that?
Well, we jumped ahead. I haven't used PowerPoint in a while. So, start off with my New Year's resolution. This is one of them, and let me tell you how this came to be. I've been recruiting now for 25 years, and I've recruited for all kinds of positions. You name it, call center. I recruited a bunch of printers early on, and people who did printing work. Executive admins, just about anything you can think of. Contact center, call centers, data centers, you name it. System admins, program managers, project managers, business analysts. And I was going through resumes last year and looking at all these resumes and thinking, why are these people applying to these jobs? They are not qualified. They're wasting my time. Because my job as a recruiter is to find candidates to do the jobs for my clients. That's how I get paid. I don't get paid unless I find qualified people. So it just seemed to me that it would be a good idea to come and explain exactly what I was looking for in the perfect candidate. And since I've been doing this 25 years, I suspect that what I look for is very similar to what other recruiters look for. So I thought, well, I'll put together my ideas about what a perfect candidate would do and present it. So you guys get to be the first people to see this. So I want you to give me your feedback. Tell me what you think. Tell me if it's not realistic, if it is realistic. But I'm going to present you some ideas that I think might be unique, or you might have heard them before. But anyway, hopefully they'll be helpful.
Live or after?
Live.
Live.
I mean, that's what the
While you're presenting.
Yeah, while I'm presenting. So let's see, what do I click here? Oh, and by the way, I know about doing my New Year's resolution, this is one of them, the big year. And the other one is to work on my own. Mostly. I think we can all do it.
Yeah.
COVID really hurt us, really hurt us. So, first thing that you need to know is what the world looks like in terms of people looking for jobs. And these are things that I looked up. I didn't know some of this. So I went out and did some research, and I found out that 50 to 70% of people who are already working are looking for a new job. So what does that mean to you as a job seeker? That means you got competition from people who are already working. So, and what I tell people always is if they come to me, and right now I have 32 employees. If they come to me and they're complaining about the job, I say, don't leave this job till you have another one. It's always easier to find a job when you're working than it is when you're not working. So I suspect 50 to 70% of the people out there working understand that. And they're looking. So that's something to learn. This next one, I think that may be low. 75% of resumes are rejected. I think that's real low. I know that we usually get, just to tell you how we operate, we reach out to candidates directly via email, sometimes 3,000 or 4,000 at a time. We also post jobs and get them from job boards. And out of that, we'll get one hire. So that should give you some idea of how many resumes get rejected. And like I said, we're looking for the perfect candidate. And so I'm going to tell you what we're looking for. But I want you to understand what you're up against. Only about 5 applicants out of 100 actually run a face-to-face interview. I think that's high, actually.
Yeah.
So, but still, think about it. 100 resumes, 5 interviews. Pretty stiff competition. 54% of employers have rejected candidates based on their social media profiles. And I've actually had people rejected because of that. Well, to me, why would people put some of this stuff on Facebook and put it on there? I mean, why in the world would you do that? I mean, you know that's going on. So where all this publishing? And in some cases, I'm thinking, hey, you're publishing and you're a dumb what? That's what you're publishing. So why in the world would you do that? So that's a key thing to remember. 60% of jobs are found through networking, not online. That's the way I'm operating. So, but even if you find the job through networking, you still have this competition. So you need to be prepared for that, and you need to present yourself in a way that differentiates yourself. So, how do you do that? Well, first thing, job qualifications. That is everything. So, like I said in the beginning, what really, really upsets me is people applying to jobs they're not qualified for. That really, really upsets me. So, when you look at a job, look at the qualifications. And I was thinking about how do you decide if you're qualified? How do you make that decision? Look at each qualification and think about how you can talk to that qualification based on your background. If you can't do it, you're not going to get the job. You won't get it because you have to express that in your resume how you fit those qualifications. And then you have to be able to talk through it in an interview. And if you can't do it, why apply? It's silly. So anyway, that drives everything. So what does your resume need to look like? Well, remember this. You get one chance to make a first impression. One chance. So if you're serious about a job, you better put energy into making sure you make a good first impression. Are you wasting my time and your time? Guess what? When you waste my time, I'm not happy. So, how do you make a first impression? You need to make sure you demonstrate professionalism in your resume. What does that mean? No spelling errors. Good grammar. You'd be amazed. We get resumes all the time and I look at them and say, you didn't even check this. You didn't even use words to check it. You didn't use grammar to check it. What kind of commitment does that say in terms of what you would do if you're working on this job? How serious are you about it? So in other words, make sure when you put the resume together that you take care of the simple stuff, because that's always the things that get you. Grammar, spelling. Okay. Provides a comprehensive overview, supports application tracking systems. Now, let me tell you why that's important. We search all the time for candidates. And we don't just search in our own system. We have our own ATS. But we go search the world. We search Monster, Career Builder, Zip, Indeed, the internet. We search all over the place to find people who are qualified. So your resume needs to be searchable. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. What we're looking for. So that bullet there demonstrates communication and writing skills. I already talked about that. I cannot emphasize that enough. What we do when we see somebody that looks pretty good and they have those errors, we kind of go, okay, we can fix that. But guess what? Not everybody does that. They see grammar error, they're out. So that's something to keep in mind. Who sees your resume? This is my personal opinion. Most of the people that see your resume have no understanding of what the job is. They don't know. Me, I've been doing this long enough, I can look at a guy and say, hey, he's been doing these jobs, so he has this skill set. So I'm going to look a little deeper. But a lot of these people, they don't. They look at it and say, I don't see these things. You're out. So you need to make sure you understand that. I mean, some organization, they smash 3 levels. We have sourcers, have a recruiter who works me. I must see every resume that gets to me. And I look at it and I review it. If I think it's good, I send it to the client. But you're lucky if you're dealing with me because I can look at a resume and say, hey, this person looks like they could do the job. And usually I'm right. Not always. Nobody's always right. But usually. And so as is my recruiter, we've both been doing this 25 years. So we've been at it for a while. But not everybody is. You got to remember, a lot of organizations, you have entry-level people doing these jobs. They don't know what to look for. So you have to make sure you impress those people. You have to clear them. If you don't, you're out. So what are they looking for? Right there at the top, what does it say? keywords, skill. You know why? It's easy. That's trainable. You can teach people to do that in 20 minutes. You can say, here's how. Here's what you do. Run this search. If these words show up, put them through. If they don't, put them out. So you need to make sure you get all the keywords, not anything you didn't do. Okay? If you didn't do it, don't put it in there. But the inverse is also true. If you did it and it's not in your resume, you didn't do it. Okay? Remember that. If it's not in your resume, you did not do it. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. So anything you did, it's in the job description. Put it in there. Multiple times. Put it in the summary. Put it in the matrix. Put it in every job where you did it. Why? Because that's how people determine how much experience you have. We have people all the time who say, hey, did you do this? Yes, I did it. Well, put it in your resume. They put it in the summary or the matrix, and that's it. And we're like, where did you do this? Oh, I did it here and here and here. No, you didn't. It's not in your resume. Put it there so I know. So you want to put all the keywords and skills and everything you have in as many places as you can in the resume. Now, in the summary, for instance, let's see what I'm at this presentation. In the summary, you want to include and talk about why you are a fit for this job. My 17 years of XYZ and my knowledge of XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Right there in the front sentence, the very first thing, put it there. And then and if you have a skills matrix, put it there as well. And then in each job, put it in. And guess what? People are going to notice. You can almost just put the, one sentence on each job, which as long as you got the keywords and skills, we'll notice, I guarantee you.
Do you guys prefer bullets?
Yes, we do prefer bullets. I don't like paragraphs. Everybody prefers bullets, actually, because it's easy to see.
Since you're on the subject of length, a lot of content, is there still the old adage of 2 pages?
You know what? I'm sure you have a background like mine. And so if you can get it down to 2, great. But I think 5 is the limit.
5 pages?
Yeah, that's what my clients have told me. Anything over 5. Now, the more concise it can be, the better. Now, I don't spend a lot of time wading through your words because you didn't really think it out.
You're saying you can get down to 2, that's good. I've heard recently having a 1-pager is best. Is that not?
That's not. I don't know how a person that has worked. If you worked in one place your whole career, and you can get it all into one.
It was very hard to.
Yeah. I mean, how in the world?
Yeah, it was a lot.
I don't think that's realistic for most people. Now, if you're an entry-level person, or you've worked at one place, or, yeah, maybe.
Okay, good.
But the main thing is, you need to make sure all of the experience you have that's pertinent is in your resume. Yes, sir.
So I can fill easily 3 pages, but I have reduced it down to 1.5. Because due to ageism, there's stuff I've summarized. I worked here.
And that's wise. That's wise.
So I got 1.5 pages.
However, if you did something in those jobs that's pertinent to the job, you need to bring it out. A lot.
So it may not be, some people may think that's ancient history and prehistoric kind of thing, and so.
Well, it depends on what it is. I mean, I started in 1978 on a machine that was a 16-bit computer. with 32K rent, okay?
That's a lot.
So, you know, I kind of know where you're coming from. So, okay, so I mentioned some of this stuff, correct spelling and grammar and accuracy. The accuracy is very, very, very important because you're going to have to talk to all of that. You're going to have to explain it. Anything on your resume is fair game for you to be asked about. So you better be responsible. That's what I said on qualifications. You need to make sure you can talk to each of those intelligently before you even think about calling. You're wasting your time otherwise. Unless, of course, you have to know something.
Really want to sales guy.
But even
They like him.
then, you need to make sure you follow the rules. Okay, your competition with recruiters, 6 to 400, 25 to 400 applicants. Okay. That's a lot. Now, a lot of those we just throw away. And like I said earlier, we may wind up with 3 or 4 out of the match. Because we're looking for the perfect candidate. As is every recruiter. That's what we're paid for. So, because of that, we look at a resume for 6 to 20 seconds. And guess what? The 20-second ones are the ones that follow the rules I was telling you about, keywords. If we see the keywords in there, it's worth further review. If we don't, out the door.
Yeah.
We're wasting our time. So, and we're also working on a ton of jobs. In my company, usually it's only 2 or 3 or 4, because we do review every resume. Every resume. So we try to make sure that we look at them. We don't want to miss anything, and we want to be fair as we can to our particular prospective candidates. So you've got to be aware of that. It's a very, very intense process looking at all these resumes. So, and of course we also do interviews. We don't just look at resumes, we also do interviews. And we also do marketing. So you better stand out. So how do you stand out? Well, this may surprise some of you. But I think you need to tailor your resume for every job. Every job.
Hi there.
You need to tailor your resume. How do you do that? Well, you need to go do as much research as you can on the company you're applying to. Go work LinkedIn. Look at your contacts. See if you know anybody that works there. See what you can find out. Use the summary to highlight your skills, the job description, and how you are committed to success. Doesn't have to be long. 3 or 4 sentences. Just make sure you hit the key points. Well, guess what? It works.
How does that compare if you cut and tellerize to each position? But then you have a LinkedIn profile that
That's a good question.
doesn't
I
have.
knew you were going to ask it. I knew somebody was going to ask it. Your LinkedIn profile needs to have the same jobs, the same skill set. Just make sure it's consistent. And it needs to have a picture of you. Because guess what? That's what we use to verify that you are you. We also search LinkedIn, by the way. So you need to make sure your LinkedIn profile has all the keywords, all the skills. It can be different, but it needs to be consistent in those areas.
I noticed a lot of LinkedIn profiles that don't have pictures, so what is your reasoning for that being so important?
We get people who apply to jobs that say they're somebody they're not. Believe it or not, we do. And we've even hired people who show up and they're not the person we hired. We thought we were hired. So that's the real world. Yes, sir.
I've been looking for work for the last, since I left Honeywell in 2010, I've been contracting.
Yeah.
And I have found, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I actually was in your position once, and people were applying for the job I was trying to fill, and they did not qualify.
Right.
Why? I usually, I'll just tell you my method. I put a resume up on Monster, and when I put the resume up, I'll get 5, 6, 7 calls a day
Right.
for the first week.
Right.
And if I update it again in a couple of weeks, I'll get another 5 or 6, 7 calls a week. And what'll happen is one of those guys will get me a job.
Right.
You know, when I target, when I go and do what you're suggesting, spend a lot of time manipulating my resume so it matches the job.
I know where you're going.
I spend a lot of time for jobs I don't get.
Yeah. Your Monster resume and all your job board resumes need to be complete. You need to make sure you have all the keywords, everything in there that you have, and all the jobs in work. Okay. Now, what I'm talking about in tailoring is, I'm glad you brought that up, because you can't tailor all those resumes all the time. Okay, but when you apply to a specific job, that's where you need to tailor. That's what you need to do there. But your resumes are online, and you made a really good point. You need to update those periodically. Like maybe weekly if you're serious about looking for the job. Because that says that you're actively looking. The other thing you need to do is make sure on your LinkedIn account, your profile, that you say you're open to work. Make sure that's done. But if and it's real easy to update your resumes online and LinkedIn, your profile. Just go into it, make a space, save it, and that will take, add space and save it. Now it's updated. And that says that you're actively looking. That's what people look for. So, but I know it's kind of, be very cumbersome to keep all of those updated all the time, or to change each one of those for every job. What you want those to do is to allow me to find you. And I'm going to be looking for keywords. So when I see the keywords, I'm going to get that resume, and I'm going to visit with you about a specific job. You didn't apply to this job. I'll reach out to you, and you don't respond back. At that point, you and I will talk, and we'll get your resume ready.
So the other thing I've noticed, so I've tailored it to a job. I've tailored my resume to a job and sent it to the recruiter. The recruiter will call me back and say, "Where's your real resume?" Yeah. So then I'll have to send him this 18-pager. So he'll see all the keywords and everything I've ever done. But that's happened to me.
No, I get it, and that's because you've got lots of experience.
Yes, sir.
Well, what you can do there, see the fourth bullet down, emphasize the jobs you have had that are like the one you're applying for. Now, all of those jobs you've had over the 20 years that you've worked, they're not all applicable. You need to show that you did them. You need to show that you were working, but you don't have to add a whole lot of detail. Because actually, that just makes the resume more cumbersome and harder for me to find what I'm looking for.
And after you're hired, please update your LinkedIn profile for two
Yeah.
reasons. One, you're not going to make Dan crazy when he sees that you're still open to work. And two, if I were your employer and I saw that you're still open to work, I might be a little bit like, did we hire the wrong person? So, yeah, do that for yourselves and for everybody else.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we're, like I said, we don't have a whole lot of time, and the easier you can do our job, the better for everybody, especially you. So, I think I've covered it. Okay, I've got a whole list of do's here that you may know, you may not know. But the top one there, I think, is absolutely key. This is what I tell everybody. Approach your job search like you would a job. 8 hours a day. You're working. I know that's tough, but that's what it takes if you want to get a job. Approach it like it's a job. It is a job. And when people get laid off, we have contractors, when their contract ends, or I've had people that call me and said, I just got laid off. I tell them, okay, spend a day grieving, crying, whatever it is you're going to do. Tomorrow, you have a new job. It's called finding a job. You need to get started on it. Guess what? Those people that do, they find jobs right away. The longer you're unemployed, you probably know this to be true, the harder it is to get a job. So, if you're laid off, of course, if you decide you don't want to work, that's another thing. But if you are serious about getting a job and you're laid off, your next job is to get a job. You can get started right away. Set alarms on job boards and LinkedIn for the jobs you want. So you get notified when there's a job, you can evaluate that job, decide if you're qualified, should tailor your resume and submit yourself. And of course, apply only for jobs that you meet or exceed qualifications. That's my pet peeve. Don't apply for jobs you're not qualified for. Just don't do it. All it does is piss me off. It's wasting my time and your time. So don't do it.
One question regarding that.
Yeah.
You're in the HR field. I'm sure you've heard that a lot of women and minorities are reluctant to apply for jobs that they're, can get, but they don't have that, old white male sense of confidence.
I can't read women's minds, but I'll tell you one thing, any woman that's qualified, I want to hire her, and so do my clients in the IT field. So women actually have a little bit of advantage in the IT world because there's so few women. So if you're qualified and you're a woman, definitely apply. Because guess what? I'm going to look at your resume before I look at a guy's resume. I mean, that doesn't sound right, does it? But it's the truth. My clients want to hire women. They want to meet that quota. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.